Good morning. I'm Carlton Sharp, pastor of Faith Christian Center Church, right here in Beaumont, Texas. And we're here on what's happening in our neighborhood. And today, my special guest is Mr. Calvin Rice. Welcome, Coach.
How you doing, sir?
It's all good. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm an educator. I've been an educator for the last 25 years here in Beaumont. I'm originally from actually Hampton, Virginia, but I grew up in Houston. And so that's me in a nutshell.
Now we first encountered our relationship on the basketball court because
you wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready.
Because you wasn't ready. You wasn't ready. So I had to let you know that you wasn't ready.
Some may still think I'm not ready.
Yeah. But I had a first-hand experience to know that you wasn't ready. I need to let you know that you wasn't ready. I think you're ready now.
But I tell you what, you actually taught me a valuable lesson the first time I encountered you because, I learned. I appreciate the fact that you broke me in.
Yeah.
So now, Coach, you say you've been educated for 25 years. You've gone through the ranks. So tell us some of the things that you've done in the school systems, especially in this area.
Of course, I started off as an elementary school teacher where I taught 4th and 5th grade for a number of years, and then I moved from that role to being a technologist for the campus for about 3 or 4 years. Subsequent to that, I became the head basketball coach at Central. Previous to coaching, I was the assistant coach at Westbrook. After 7 years as the head basketball coach at Central, I went back to an elementary school as a technologist for about 6 months, and then to Port Arthur as an assistant principal, where I served for about 4 months, and then was afforded the opportunity to become the interim principal at Memorial High School.
So now what is your role now?
Currently, I serve as the principal at South Park Middle School.
Now, Coach, we look at the school system, and it seems as if we're putting more responsibilities on the teachers, on educators, on everybody in the school system. So talk to us about that.
Well, anybody that's close to education and familiar with practices know that it's a dual situation. It's a dual role. Basically, you have the role of the parent, you have the role of the teacher. And normally when those two entities work together, the students have a better opportunity to be successful. In most cases, in your more diverse populations of students, it's just you have more input from the teacher as opposed to input from the parents, which puts a strain on the educational process.
Now, are you seeing more now as a principal of less parent involvement in their children's education?
In certain situations, like I said, in diverse populations, similar to my population at South Park, there is a disconnect. The role of the parent a lot of times is absent. And so we are forced to do a lot of things that we wouldn't normally have to do in order to help our students achieve.
Okay, so how much more responsibility your teachers have when it comes down to lack of parent involvement?
Well, when there's research out that shows that when a child enters into the educational system, they all enter at the same level. Of course, you have some students, affluent students, that come with come packaged better, or they come with some foundational tools to help them matriculate through school through a normal process. Well, with other students, similar again to the students that I have at my school, those students are not afforded the opportunity to be exposed, if you will, to experiences.
Mm-hmm.
The more experiences we have,
the
the more apt we will be to retain information that we come across. The biggest thing here now is our kids don't have the ability to think. And part of being able to think, when I think about my son and my daughter, both of them, although the two are college students now, what we did and their mother did, we asked them questions coming up. We participated in their homework. We just did things that we knew that would support their development as a student.
Well, now, how does the lack of parental involvement relate to the discipline in school?
Well, of course, in my situation, we have a lot of students. You know, you heard the term the latchkey kids.
Yeah.
You know, most of them are going home, and there's nobody there but them. And most of the time, because I'm middle school, they're dealing with students, or they're dealing with their sister or brother that's younger, and they're their caregiver until the parent comes home. And so when you start talking about a child coming home, and they have homework, but there's nobody there to tell them to do the homework. There's nobody there that's checking their homework or assisting them or encouraging them or even coming to the school when they're engaging in activities at the school to support them. That makes a difference.
Yeah, it does.
It makes a difference. And so, you know, any chance that I get, I always tell parents, any chance I get or anybody, you know, when the partnership between the parents and the teachers are solid, then the opportunity for the students to be successful becomes great.
Right.
When that relationship is diminished, then the success of the students is minimized. And so, you know, we just want to make sure that, or we try to make sure that, you know, we're engaging parents. We have to come up with
creative ideas
to get parents out. Nevertheless, you know, we have a responsibility to educate students, and that's what we do every day.
Now, I'm sure you could attest to the fact that when we were growing up, that when it came down to discipline, I mean, it was never a question whether the teacher was right or wrong. You know, I mean, our parents always took the side of the adult in that situation.
Yeah, and you just don't see that today. And part of it, I believe, is because of, you know, I always say the babies having babies.
Yeah, yeah.
How can I teach this child how to be a responsible individual when I'm not responsible myself because I haven't learned how to be responsible?
Yeah.
And so that cycle has persisted. And so now you have a lot of students that are matriculating to schools who do not have what you would call a social foundation, if you will.
Right.
Where I'm not able to understand, first and foremost, respect. You know, we respect it.
Right.
You know, and it leads into, you know, another thing, you know, that people use called the village mentality.
Yeah.
Where in my village, everybody in the village had access to me.
Right.
As it relates to my behavior. If I was going down the street, my brothers and I, and we were doing something wrong, old man Mr. Stokes, who lived on the corner, he was going to deal with us.
Yeah, and then call your mama.
And then mama was going to deal with us when we got home. And that's the difference. Today, when you think about a lot of things that are going on, you know, you see a lot of things on the internet with kids. You know, I saw one here recently where there was a kid and some kids in a courtroom, and they were being belligerent and obstreperous and just all over the place. And you just didn't see that.
Right.
Because the one thing that we knew in our community, in our village, that you were going to get handled.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when you left the village, you knew, hey, if I leave the village and I act well, I only have or know to act well in another environment.
Right.
So when I left my village to go to school, it was normal for me to make sure that I was on my best behavior. Now, not to say that kids are kids, and we know that, you know, kids are going to do you know, juvenile things, you know, sometime. But for the most part, we're not seeing that. We're seeing a very, very disruptive student. Attitude, language, you know, aggression, you know, things that in my 25 years on the onset of my career I didn't see that I see now.
Okay, so I mean, what do you relate those things to? I mean, there has to be a reason why you see the difference 25 years ago to now.
Again, it goes back to what I talked about with the babies having babies. I'm your friend instead of your parent.
Oh.
So the respect, I'm not teaching you respect. I'm giving you more say into what you want to do. Whereas, like if I sat down at the table and mom cooked something,
It wasn't the question whether
it wasn't the question whether I wanted it or I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah. Eat it or go to bed hungry.
I don't have a decision. I don't have a decision here.
Yeah.
And so, with that, kids have a little bit more freedom to do and say what they want to say. And it also goes back to, I don't know if you've ever been to picnics and cookouts, and you see kids when they're 2-3 years old,
Yeah.
and they shaking their butt and using language, and everybody laughing at them like it's cute.
Right.
Well, listen,
They grow up.
Young cursors become big cursors.
Yeah.
And when there's no parameters that's set, then they become cursors everywhere.
So how do you handle that in your school? I mean, because it has to affect the environment in the school.
Well, there's different theory on that, and I've been looking at restorative practices, which is one way communicating more with the kid, as opposed to issuing punitive measures. But also, I think on the front end, there's a educator, Harry Wong, and he talks about procedures and routines and expectations.
Yep.
And I just believe that once you get a child, a student, to the point where they understand what the expectation is, and you're firm, fair, and consistent, and you implement your procedures with fidelity, then they're going to conform.
That's one of the things that I share. My wife is an educator, and we talk about this a whole bunch because we share all the time that it doesn't matter where the child is as far as their level of education. Mm-hmm. If you set a standard for them, they will reach toward that goal. They always reach toward it.
As a coach, and I talk to my teachers about this. As a coach, we coach kids all the time. We coach athletes. Those athletes are students.
Right.
And we can get those athletes to do whatever we want them to do.
Exactly.
Because we give them an expectation.
That's good.
You understand what I'm saying? And so, again, just to add to what you're saying, once the expectation is there and the kid understands, what it is you expect, what it is you want, and you're consistent with it. The key is consistency. Because if I vacillate, then it's going to cause that kid to try to have to figure out when it's good, when it's not good.
Yeah.
And for the most part, kids, 15 and younger doesn't have the mental capacity to be able to reason around so many things at one time.
Now, and you also do a great thing, what I call positive affirmation.
Yes.
When they are doing well, you reward them for that and you publicize it.
Yes. Stimulus response. Watson. Yeah. You have intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, and you have some kids that intrinsically are motivated to do the right things and to get it done because that's just their nature. But for the most part, and most people, they want to receive some type of extrinsic reward, even if it's just, hey, listen, you did a good job,
or pizza,
or a pat on the back, or some pizza.
That always works.
or some pizza. It's. I don't think that I think that we have to be persistent in what we do in our practices. I think that everybody in that learning environment has to be on the same page. They have to understand the systems that are in place. When everybody adheres to the systems and follow through with procedures and routines, then it makes the environment function better.
Right.
From a discipline standpoint. Are there exceptions to the rule? They are. I always say that, about 80% of the students will do what you want them to do if you have procedures and expectations in place. There's another 10% that you have to manage. But when you manage those, that 5%, which I call no matter what you do, they're going to be, cantankerous and what have you. You can manage those students. It's easier to manage that 5% when you have that 10 and that 80% doing what they need to do most of the time.
Now, is that 5%? Do they have the mentality that I'm entitled? I'm entitled for this. I'm entitled for that. I'm entitled for you to pass me.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And it's evident, the Beaumont Independent School District, as well as the schools, do a great job of disseminating information as it relates to grading periods, also mediums where they can actually receive information and check on their students online, what have you. And you would be amazed how we go through the whole year and, those things are available, and it's not until the kid or the parent finds out that the kid is failing that they come to the school, and they feel entitled, and they come with stories, to try to soften your heart, and I just say, I'm for kids, but I think that if we allow kids to not be responsible, then they become irresponsible adults.
Right.
At some point, we have to hold them accountable.
Because, Coach, you have, parent self-serve, you have the progress reports, you have report cards, and then for a parent to wait to the end of the year and want to ask why little Johnny is failing, when, you have these tools in place to help you see the progress of your child.
Even from a discipline standpoint, when you think in terms of, and that's where I get a lot of entitlement issues. In order for effective instruction to go on in the classroom, it has to be an optimal environment for it. And if the environment is optimal, that means there's minimal discipline disturbances in the classroom. And so when a child disrupts a class repeatedly, then they're taken away from the instructional delivery and the instructional flow and the learning that takes place in the classroom. And so, sometimes we have parents who don't understand that. They feel like, little Johnny has been doing this and, well, he doesn't need to be in ISS. Well, explain to me why he should be in the classroom and not in ISS when I've communicated with you repeatedly that he's a problem in this class. Why? Tell me why. Explain to me why. Well, he needs to get his education. Well, is he getting his education or she getting her education in the classroom acting a clown? No. Ma'am, I'm sorry. But there's 20 other kids in the classroom that we have to be responsible for. And I'm not going to let him keep those other 19 from getting what they need to get. So we're going to give him some time off. And hopefully he'll come back. Now, that's punitive. Those are punitive measures. Now, leading up to that, like I said, I've made contact with her and we've tried to do some things in the interim before we get to the point where we want to remove a kid out the classroom. But at the end of the day, it's about me and the teachers providing the opportunity for the masses to be educated and not allow one kid or two kids keep the other kids from being successful.
Now, another thing that you do is you bring in, I had the privilege of coming to your school and speaking to some of your young men to share my story about where I was when I was their age. And so you bring in speakers to talk to some of your students.
Yeah, we bring in speakers. I have a story myself, that I share from time to time with kids. But also, the district, we have the key communicators that come in. The district has partnered with that organization. And so we have things that we do in an attempt to try to change the behaviors of the students. Most importantly, our young men, our young African men. To give them a different model, because what they see in their environment is so different from what they experience when they come to school. And oftentimes, they bring their home experience, they bring it to school. Right. And so if you don't give them anything else to connect to, then all they know is the environment from which they come.
Because I was amazingly shocked. I seen a video a few days ago of some middle school kids, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, who had weapons in their hands, and they were acting out a video that they've seen. And these were loaded weapons. And I mean, these are, what, 12, 13, 14-year-old kids? And I was actually shocked.
Well, it goes back to what I mentioned earlier about the parental involvement.
Yeah, yeah.
And the kids going home
Yeah.
And raising themselves or at home to themselves and being able to make decisions for themselves. See, I don't think that a kid that's between the ages 1 to 17, I don't feel that they have enough life in them to be able to rationalize to make responsible decisions.
Yeah.
They can't. But when you leave them to make their own decisions, then what do? They gravitate to stimuli that they're exposed to on a regular basis, which is their peers.
Right, right.
And if mom is not available when I get home, then all they have is their peers. And so now I'm going to emulate what I see with my peers. And so now it's just a domino effect. This one hit this domino, that one hit that domino.
Yeah.
And so now you have a conglomeration of students that engage in behavior that's just not good for the educational environment.
Now, every kid has a cell phone, just about.
Everyone.
So how do you deal with, cell phone usage in your school? Because everybody has one.
Well, we do different things. Of course, expectations is number one, but we also do what we call Tech Friday. So if we don't have incidents during the week, then on Friday, we let them listen to them while they walk in the halls, and we let them listen to them in the cafeteria. And if the PE teachers want to allow them to listen to them in that environment, they can as well. It is a fight. One of the things that I challenge my teachers to do is use it in instruction. And so, what better way if I'm a history teacher and we're talking about say, for instance, the Constitution.
Yeah.
And I say, okay, the article, the preamble. Go to your phones and look it up and tell me what the preamble
that's
is.
good. That's good.
So now the kids have an opportunity to engage in use on their phone. They like it.
Yeah.
But not only are they using the phone, they're getting what? Information. And they have to regurgitate that information once they get it. Now, of course, the teacher has to be planned, it has to be structured, and the teacher must monitor in order for it to be implemented effectively.
But I like the fact that you're allowing them to use that technology because, they have it. It's not like they don't have it.
And listen, if you don't let them use it at some point, they're going to use it.
They're going to pull it out anyway.
They're going to pull it out anyway. But I think, it is a distraction sometimes. It is a distraction. My son and my daughter had cell phones, but they knew. My son, he got a cell phone picked up. It was like $15 to $20 to get it. All right, that's fine. When you get $20, you can get it. When you get $20, not my $20,
not your
when
$20.
you get $20. But yeah, just getting the kids to understand, what's expected. That's key. That's key.
Well, listen, I want to thank Coach Rice for coming today and talking to us and sharing with us about the school system and things that are happening at his particular school, at South Park Middle School. Listen, we're just about ready for back to school, and so parents, I pray that you will be involved in your child's education, not just when something's going wrong, but be there on a consistent basis. Be a positive face on that campus wherever your child is. Let them see you being involved. And I guarantee you that if they see you all the time being involved in your child's life, your child will be more productive at that school. So I want to thank Coach Rice again for coming. I want to thank you for joining us today on What's Happening in Our Neighborhood. And we will see you next time on our broadcast.